as I sit here and I think this morning about the events, the things that are taking place, the things that are transpiring, the happenings that are going on here as well as abroad, and I have time to reflect. You know, I want to live a quiet and peaceable life, just like you do. I'm pretty simple. Food and raiment, content. I want to be able to have property rights, to enjoy the fruit of my labors, to have fellowship and long-lasting, wonderful friendships with people who understand the faith and is in the faith just as well as I do. I want to see my children happy, other people's children happy. I love to be able to see my grandchildren grow up in the time and in the world that is free of perversion, free of sin, free of lies, treachery, and deceit. But everything I just got finished talking to you or speaking to you about, it's all make-believe, because the truth is that world does not exist. We live in very chaotic times. I'm a leader. And as a leader, it is my job, it is my right, and it is my responsibility to speak and to say things that's going to stimulate your mind and your conscience. You have to understand, I feel it. I know if I feel it, I know that there are many other people out there that feel it too. I feel it when I speak. I feel the spirit that tries to press against me to hold my tongue and not say the things, not put words, not articulate it, not bring words out into this particular realm right here for you to hear and see, because it does not want you, the spirit of his age, to think other than the way that it has trained you to think. This is an information warfare. And of course, one of the first things in war, one of the first things you do is you cut off communications, because if you cut off communication, then you can't supply people. The troops can't be satisfied. But if you don't have people out here willing to stick their neck out on the line to articulate to you what's really truly going on, even though, hey, you don't want to hear it, you don't want to believe it. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to believe it. But I have two things that's going on in my heart and mind. Either I can sit back, hide behind this keyboard and this computer, say nothing and do nothing, and just continually to allow this life to go on and just hope for a better day. Or either I can say something that is resonating deep down in my heart and spirit and mind to you, the people out there, to try to help stimulate your thought and use facts to do it. So that at least you will have an opportunity to prepare yourself and get yourself in a particular survival mode, because you're not going to trust in this world or this government to do it for you. If you do, you're a fool. I'm not here to try to lead the people into the city to where UN troops, and we will see foreign troops on the United States soil. We will see that. If the UN is overseas, you get ready. They don't have no constitution. They don't believe in the Constitution. We have so-called elected officials and our courts system, as well as our government. They look at this document as a relic, a piece of trash. You can look and see that our country is not following one letter of that particular ancient document. They're not doing it. I just, I've never, ever understood what it means. I mean, maybe that's my trouble and problem, but I've never had a yellow streak running down my back. Let me take you back in my childhood for a moment. I was about 13 years old, and there was this bully in the neighborhood. He's probably about 17, 18 at the time. And I couldn't, it's been so long ago, but I can try to bring the accountant story to you. And I was walking home one day, and he just decides to pick up a rock and take that rock and throw it at me and hit me in the back. So I turned around and I started stepping to him. And then right there and I stopped for a moment because he had his brother that was there who was 21 and 6 other guys with him. And I was getting ready to step to him. And him and I was going to have an altercation there. We were going to have a real, true altercation. But then I started thinking, I said, man, look at that. I started thinking, wow, that's 6 or 7. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll be right back. So at 13 years old, I went home and told my daddy. Now, if you don't know my dad, I will tell you something about him. My dad does not have one streak of yellow or fear in his body or bone, even right now. And I believe he's either 72 or 73 years old. He doesn't have one streak of fear and never has in his whole entire life. I went home and I told him what happened. He said, okay. Him and I both went down there. And you know what amazed me? Because I knew that when I went home to get my dad, and him and I both went down there, that there was a chance we were getting ready to rumble. But there was only 2 of us against 6 of them. And as a young boy, it's against, it's to my disadvantage that I had to say this, but there was a bunch of thugs in the neighborhood also at one time. They were doing something. I was very young, didn't understand. And they said something to my mother out of the way. And there was 3 of them. I sit and watch my dad stomp a literal mud hole in 3 of them. Now you have to understand, my dad is, at the time, he was 6'4" and about 245 pounds. And he's never taught us to go out and just start fights. But he has always told us, you never let anybody, I don't care who it is, you never let anybody whoop up on you and beat up on you just because you're there. And so my dad and I, we went down there, and these guys, all of a sudden my dad said, you know what? He said, the day is coming real soon that when every single one of you, you're going to see him. And you're going to fear and shake and tremble at his presence. And you're going to hope that he doesn't remember this day because it's not going to go well with you. Now, you have to understand, I'm thinking when we go down there, my dad and I, we getting ready to rumble. It wasn't until later on that I started to understand what my dad was doing and what he said. So, give it 6, 7 years later, here I am. I'm in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I'm getting ready to go home on leave. I have a family. I'm about 6 feet. I weigh about 220, 235 pounds, somewhere along in there. I'm a paratrooper in the United States Army. I grew up fighting, so I know what it means to fight. And now I know how to fight even more on a professional level, especially being associated with the 82nd Airborne Division. So I go home. And the first thing I did is I went home and I looked for the bully. And I saw him and I walked up to him. And he cordially greeted me. Very humble, very submissive. I had it in my heart and in my mind right then and there. I said, I'm getting ready to stomp a mud hole in him. And then I thought, I looked at him. I saw the pathetic condition that he was in, the situation that he's in. And I said, it's not even worth it. He didn't know at that time what was in my heart. He didn't know that I was getting ready to break an arm and maybe a couple of legs and a few ribs. He didn't know that I had that thought in my mind, yet and still I pulled back. Because I looked at him and I saw, you know what, this ain't even worth it, because he had gotten on drugs heavy. He looked like just a literal piece of crap. And I never let him know what was really truly in my heart and my intent for even coming back to that neighborhood. I saw a few of the other guys, and every one of them looked pathetic. And I did see my dad's words come to pass. Every single one of them feared and trembled at my presence. And maybe they knew the reason why I came back, but I never articulated. But I'm a whole lot closer now than what I was then. You see, I don't know what it means to run, to be a coward, to have a yellow streak running down my back. I never have, and I never will. It's just not in my DNA. It's not in my makeup. Probably number one, because I'm a Hebrew and I'm a real true Israelite. But I feel it when I get on here and I talk with passion and conviction. I feel that spirit that tries to make you be fearful to say certain things, to try to regulate your speech. And of course, I'm of the mindset, whether it be naturally or spiritually, whenever I'm being pushed against or whenever I get something that's trying to make me be fearful, I'm going to push back at it real hard. And there's no way I'm going to submit to that kind of fear and tyranny. And I understand that everybody don't have that. Who's going to protect the children? Who's going to protect the women, the daughters of Zion, and the widow, and the wives? Who's going to do that? Because we don't have any representation in this country. Government has got way, way too big, and it's just literally out of control. We have been trained to depend on the system which has trained us through public school indoctrination and college to be subordinate to it. My job is to wake up those who have the ears to hear. My main job, number one, is to bring salvation to anyone who is of his. That's right, who is of him. I don't like seeing people suffer, and neither do I like seeing men, especially men, being fearful. Because if the men are fearful and we're fearing, then our families are going to be fearful. And fear is a very unforgiving spirit. I sit and think about Hugo Chavez and Ahmadinejad. You don't see the fight that these men have in them. The sentiments are totally different than this propaganda that America's putting out. But you notice that Hugo Chavez is not calling for, hey, you know, the dollar is the world reserve currency. You do know that, don't you? But you notice that Hugo Chavez is not saying, hey, country, we're in bad, dire straits. You know what we need to do? We need to call in all of our money. We're going to call the central banks and we're going to demand for them to give us our Federal Reserve notes so we can store wealth. You ever notice you don't hear that? No, they're getting their gold. What did America take from Saddam Hussein? What did they take from Omar Gaddafi? Tons and tons and tons of gold. Why don't they just didn't take the dinar? It's amazing how China says, you know what? Man, we can see that this whole system is collapsing around us. So we need to go and store up as many Federal Reserve notes as we can. It's remarkable, isn't it? And then you go way back to ancient Egypt. Is it not remarkable that you saw that these people believed that if they took their treasures and their wealth, they put them in their tombs and stuff, that they would help them in the next life? Well, it didn't. But even in ancient Egypt, as far back as 5,000 years, they did not find Federal Reserve notes, and they did not believe that Federal Reserve notes was money because it was backed up by the good benevolent word of the United States of America. No matter how much I talk like this and tell some of you people you're still caught up in the Mr. Rogers land of make-believe. And you know what? That's none of my business, because I also have the sentiment, which I learned from Christ. If somebody don't pay no attention to you, then pay no attention to them. I'm not here for you. I'm here for those who have the ears to hear and those who have enough sense enough to understand a voice of truth, because they have the spirit of truth and they hear it. I'm here to be a voice, to give the people options, And that option is for them to hear the truth, which otherwise they wouldn't have the opportunity to hear another perspective, a real true perspective, a biblical perspective, so they can prepare themselves and prepare their house for what's coming down the pipe. But it's amazing that China, India, Russia, Venezuela, and all of these other countries that are not European and definitely it's not about colonialism and capitalism. It's amazing how that they understand that in order to have presence in this world, you have to have tangible assets. And their tangible assets is gold and silver. But yet here, we look at these deceivers and liars. In the United States of America, they know that a lot of you rich people learn some of your investment strategies from your mother and father. And of course, they have you to go to brokerage firms, brokerage accounts, and everything else to invest your money for you. And then when you gain, hey, you don't care as long as somebody else taking care of your money, and then you get to live your little life. What do you ever care? But then all of a sudden, when you lose it all of a sudden, you want to invoke lawsuits against these people who are taking your so-called money or your wealth. Well, there's a whole lot more money, a whole lot more wealth that's going to be extracted from the American people because paper is trash. Paper is not storing wealth. And money answereth all things. But you need to know what to do with that money. You need to know how to invest that money. You need to know how to preserve that money for your own self, which you're not going to get if you sit up here and listen to CNNBC, Fox Business, and the rest of these jackleg pigs and dogs, especially who support this system of capitalism. You know, I personally truly believe that you can tell what's inside the heart of a country by how it takes care of its poor. And you listen to Fox Business, they're just degrading these people that are out there protesting, because some people that are out there protesting, they know that something is wrong, but they can't articulate it. I tell you what, I guarantee they won't bring a news camera and stick it up in front of my face and ask me what's wrong. No, they're going to go to the people who can't articulate it. They're going to go to people who's not leaders. But on their TV programs, they'll bring up your deceived, lying, so-called experts, because they're articulate with words and they know how to trick the mental psyche of man, because they understand the art of psychology and philosophy. Well, you ain't going to get over it. You ain't going to put that deception over on nobody like me. See, I'm here to speak for the common everyday folk. Now, I can only hope that you hear, but I do understand that being genetically modified and chemically induced and being demoralized to the point that we are just a living, apathetic, complacent, and docile people, we have hardly any fight in us whatsoever at all. And the system has made it to be that way. No, I want to continue to speak the truth for your sake. And everyone that is of the truth, they'll help me to help get the truth out. Yeah, they will. They will help me to do it. J. Snip 4. Many of you are not fond of him out there, and I don't care whether you fond of him or not, but I do know this, that is a friend that stick closer than a brother. I can call him anytime, and he's right there at a drop of the hat to help the work of the ministry. How many of you are doing that? Oh, many of you will talk about it and stuff, but see, this man, not only does he talk about it, but he puts action with his words. No, he's my friend, and he's my brother. And to me, it makes no difference whether you like it or not. That man works tirelessly and aimlessly to try to do whatever he can to help me get this truth out. And I'm patient enough to afford people the opportunity to allow the Holy Spirit deal with them wherever they're at. You can sit and argue with people all day long over about personal beliefs and doctrines, but I pay more attention to people's lifestyles than I do their words. And I think you do well to do the same thing. But that man just got finished reporting how that there was an honorable company, I forget the name of the company, that they told their people, you need to get your money out of our account, because the way that this American government is going and the policies of this country, we can no longer in good conscience take your money and invest it. We're not going to participate in this anymore, this scam and this wicked system. You take your money and you hide it. You put it in your own bank account. Take all your money out of the banks. This is what this honorable investment company said. Which, if things did turn around, hey, I'll find more information about them. I would recommend everybody to go with them people. They have a different heart than MF Global, Bernie Madoff, and the United States government, and CNBC, and Fox Business, and all the rest of these lying people out here that are lying to you. See, these people, they're going to continue as long as they can, and then you're going to wake up one morning, just like Gerald Celente did. Poof! And your paper is gone. Your store, what you call wealth, because you was deceived into believing that paper is wealth. It's vanished, bamboo, gone. That's what this system is designed for. It's designed to keep pushing you and egging you on down the road to give you a false hope. And then when your fear and your destruction suddenly comes up on you like a travail up on a woman, all you have is tears because you have nothing else, because you have not prepared yourself. Jeremiah 3:15 says, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. That's exactly what I am. The Most High Yahweh, the King of the universe, the creator of all things, seen and not seen. He has called me, entrusted me with his ministry, and put me into his work, and given me his Holy Spirit. He's given me his Holy Spirit. And he has made me a pastor so I could shepherd his sheep. And that's exactly what I'm going to do until the last breath go out of my body. I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to tell the truth straightway. I hope that you had ears to hear. I really, truly do. Wake up.